what are the reasons today? Like, let's say, um, in cars, I can think about, we had that discussion about safety, right?
Yeah.
So people were worried about not having airbags in their cars. What would there be any triggers like that when you think about motorcycles, saying that, hey, you might want to jump now?
I think anybody who has a non-ABS motorcycle today needs to immediately upgrade to something with ABS. This is a non-negotiable thing, and that means everybody with a sub 125, even if you bought it last year, if you can upgrade to something with ABS, I would. To me, it is an essential safety equipment, especially in our variable conditions. We know it works and we know it's invisible, so it's not going to interrupt your flow until it needs to. So to me, if you don't have a vehicle with ABS, that's every single one of you guys with scooters, except for the Aerox owners, I think, or Aprilia SR160, etc. All the rest of that population needs to move to something with ABS for sure. So to me, mechanically, the first thing I want, ABS.
Okay.
The second reason to upgrade is, we've already covered this, I won't go into detail again, but board. Board. I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Okay.
The third is to try something new, which is a very powerful thing, especially in motorcycles where the formats are very specific. And at the same price, you can access a whole bunch of different formats where the specificity of the role is very clearly defined. Okay. We all come up from versatile machines at the beginning. Whereas if you were to look at Europe or America, there is a chance that you rode a dirt bike first, or something like that first. So your experience at the beginning can vary a lot. In India, beginning experience doesn't vary that much because it's basically a commuter or a scooter that you would have started from. So when you get to your first or second machine, that upgrade can lead you in a completely different direction in terms of format. Don't be afraid to explore a format that you're not familiar with. This could be in the form of rent one for a weekend and see what it feels like and say, hey, I like this format. Or no, this is just not my thing, and never do it again. But remember, you've only seen one very versatile side of the picture at the beginning, 99% of the time in India. And I think it's totally worth going somewhere else. And don't write off anything because you don't know enough, right? Like, I have not ridden a lot of dirt bikes in my past. I have ridden a few. Serious, like Yamaha 450s, 250s, 125s, the two-stroke 125. And every single time, I was blown away by how far away from my motorcycle experience these motorcycles were. The two-stroke scared me, because I couldn't understand when it would come onto the power, and it was somebody's borrowed machine, so I couldn't afford to drop it, which normally on a dirt bike is okay. I didn't have the right gear, etc., etc. But that remains like a unknown universe to me even today, and I would love to explore it. But I'm now also pushing 50, and there's a lot of fear in there. At that point of time, when that thing struck my attention, I should have figured out a way to get there, and I didn't. And now I regret that I didn't explore that side of the world too much.
Okay.
Right? So I'm saying, don't close your mind to a new idea. Because you're starting out, there are new ideas there. They are worth exploring, and you'll reject a few. But at least you'll know why you rejected it. When it comes to cars, I think it's a little bit simpler. Because, for example, the sub 4 meter SUV, the what do you call them? The crossovers.
Crossovers.
So the crossovers and all of these things, right? They're not fundamentally different in how they drive. They are a little bit different from each other in how they drive. So the variation is narrow. But you just upgrade that to the class where you're looking at, say, a Verna City Virtus size sedan versus the SUVs in this class. Now suddenly there's quite a bit of divergence in how they drive and stuff. And at that point, if you decide, I'm a SUV guy, I'll just buy the SUV, maybe you're missing out. Maybe the sedan is what you actually want to drive, because what you're actually doing is trying to corner an SUV.
Right.
And even the City, which is as dull a car as it is to drive, will actually corner better than your giant roly-poly SUV. Right? Today there was a guy in a Fortuner trying to drive fast. And I was on the Maverick.
It's a sight.
And I was just looking at the Fortuner guy and say, what are you trying? This is the wrong car for this nonsense.
It just looks dramatic straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks dramatic. And he was so busy, he didn't notice anybody in traffic. So every motorcycle that passed him, and a lot of motorcycles passed him, they all had to honk at this guy. Because he was so busy trying to go fast. It's just wrong. And I was looking at him and I said, if you were just in a sedan, this would be so much simpler for you.
Yeah.
But it is today election results day, and it was a white Fortuner. So we said, we'll just pass him safely. Stay as far away as possible and not get involved in this.
Keep our distance.
Yeah. So to me, again, to summarize the reasons to upgrade, one is, a very powerful reason is your board. If you're not learning anything from it anymore, if you're not excited about riding it anymore, you should move on. My street triple, that's what actually happened. I walked by the garage one day, looked at that and the KTM, and I reached for the KTM's keys. And there was no thought, there was no active thought process. I was just trying to decide what to ride today. And the moment I picked the KTM keys out of my pocket and I felt happy, I knew the street triple's day was done.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
To me, is that simple.
It's penny
And
drop.
it sounds like I'm rich enough to be able to make a frivolous decision like this. No, it took me a while to get rid of the street triple. But that night I knew that the street triple's days in my garage were at an end, and that this bike would have to go. Whereas the KTM, which is much smaller, etc., that bike would stay. Right? So first, board. Second is safety. And the safety thing is very simple. Motorcycles is very easy. If you don't have ABS, you should get ABS. What do you think is the similar equivalent for cars?
On ABS, I know that sounds like a very strong statement, but you have to think about ABS this way: that ABS, we buy life insurance, we buy health insurance, we buy vehicle insurance. ABS is all of that rolled into one, effectively, right?
Yeah.
Because it having a spill is, I mean, just falling is so easy because of all the variety of conditions that we have, the unpredictability, and ABS is one thing that actually does all those things, and it's a one-time payment, whereas all the
Yeah.
others are recurring payments.
Yeah. You're right.
Right? So ABS, that it's 100%. Like, I have a friend who will always say, no, I prefer riding without ABS. I like that control. And I say, no, thank you. I never want to go back to non-ABS
No, and
ever again.
and both of us are skilled riders now. We both still activate ABS here and there along the way, which tells you that it has nothing to do with my skill. It has to do with sand being in the wrong place or an oil spill being in the wrong place, etc., etc. And it takes that much of an oil spill that you have to cross, which the ABS will protect you from. And without ABS, you'll have lost the front in that much space.
Yeah.
I would pay for this tech, right? No hospital bill is worth this.
So for me also, for cars, I think it's very simple. It's ABS and 3-point seat belts is the bare minimum. So you're looking at cars which would be 20 years back. Okay, not 20 years for seat belts. We've been getting 3-point seat belts as standard for the last 15, 20 years for the front passengers anyways. So that is the bare minimum that I would be looking for. If you don't have that, then you do have reason to look at other vehicles, because see, again, if you're planning to hold on to this, right, it makes sense to make that move.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you're going to be getting dramatically different or better cars than this in the next 4 or 5 years. Do it now, right?
Yeah.
It's
Might
it's
as well.
gonna- Yeah, you might as well do it, because in 4 or 5 years you'll be seeing a new world of cars and all for us to choose from, whether it's EVs, hybrids, whatever. Right? So this is a great time to do that step, because you're getting very refined products. We've spoken about this also before. After listening to that, did you get the feeling that you were missing out?
You should hold on to that feeling. Or you could go to the main MotorInc channel and the feeling will go away.